Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for the Blacklist Season 10, Episode 18, Wormwood, as directed by Diego Klatenhoff. This is his big debut, and he
Yeah.
gets to direct himself. Isn't that always fun?
Yeah, and he had a little meaty material going on in this episode.
Wrestler?
No, not Ressler. Jonathan, what you are doing? Why are you doing this to Ressler? How dare you?
Okay,
At the beginning of the episode, he's all like, Ressler, man, it's you and me. You're my number two. Right after my wife, you saved my life. Hudson, you need to look in to Ressler. He's got this relationship with Reddington and Liz. This is my Hudson impression. Jonathan, okay. Why would you do that? A wrestler saved your life. Hudson, you a nobody compared to somebody who just saved your life. Hudson doesn't care anything about you. He's just like, I don't care if, you're fighting your sobriety, whatever's happening. I don't care what happens to you as long as you get Reddington.
You're turned up for this.
Yeah, I was just like, Jonathan, you suck. Like,
Oh.
I can't believe that you would turn your back on Ressler just like that.
Okay, the first thing I should do here is I've got on my big red clown nose. You want to honk it?
Boop, boop.
Thank you, because I've been sitting here in these videos being like, they're not gonna do this with the sponsor storyline. He's just there to show Ressler and what he's doing outside of work. There's nothing nefarious going on here.
Technically, there wasn't anything nefarious. So there was a lot out there that thought that he was a setup from the beginning, that he always knew and he was always part of the plan. But it seemed like it took nothing to turn him around to be like, turn on Ressler. He saved your life? Bah!
Well, congratulations now, Jonathan. You get to join Hudson in the You Suck Club, where it turns out there's only one qualification, and I think we all know what that is at this point.
Okay, before we get too far into this video, we have a really exciting announcement to make. So we've had a lot of comments and people asking us to do a live after the finale of the Blacklist. And this is what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
We're going to be having our first live after the finale of the Blacklist, about an hour or so after, over on our Patreon. And we do have a link for that below. How we're going to work out the finale night is it's 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So after those 2 episodes, which is like 7 o'clock, Pacific time, we're going to record our review for you guys so that it's up and you guys have our reaction right away to everything that happened. So that'll be up as fast as it can be. Probably like 7:45, something like that.
Yeah.
Right after that, we're going to go to our Patreon where we're going to have live discussion with everybody who's over there in those tiers to be talking about the finale live with everybody. And we'll be there for as long as we all want to talk.
It's going to be a big Blacklist party. Hopefully, if it is a disappointing ending, I may be blasted off the face of the earth by the end of it.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think it's going to be a really fun discussion. And if you want to join in and you want to support us here at the channel, there's a link for you below for our Patreon. And thank you very much to everybody who has joined our Patreon. It has really been helping us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. There is also a new Blacklist video over on Patreon today that is all about the 6 mysteries that we need to see resolved before the end of all of this. And, speaking, of course, of mysteries and surprises, I'm sure you guys saw that promo, and we're going to have a preview coming up tomorrow discussing that further. Look at you guys, NBC, finally giving us a crumb of something.
Yeah, we're going to have a huge discussion tomorrow all about that promo, synopsis, everything's coming up in the next episode. But tonight, we are talking about Jonathan's betrayal. Like, wow. Did anybody think that he was going to turn that quickly? I kind of thought there was going to be a couple of conversations that Hudson was going to need to have with him before he was going to actually agree to this. Because if Ressler is really like the second most important person in his life, saved his life, then why would he be like listening to Hudson at all? Like, he has to have a reason to really kind of worm his way into his head.
Okay, so this is why I have the clown nose on here, because like even when we first got that scene with Hudson and Jonathan, like, I was still sitting here being in just total denial, thinking, okay, you know what? They had to show us this because, of course, Hudson's going to try this if there's an opportunity, but Jonathan's not really going to turn on him, like, right? Like, why would he do this? And still, I'm having a really hard time wrestling with it. Now, I'm sure the explanation that the show will give eventually, if they give us one, is that, this is what Jonathan's job is. It's what he signed up for. It is his duty to preserve justice and truth in the American way, and like all of these other big platitudes. And he's just doing what he has set out to do. But listen, if 90% of the FBI can be corrupt in the world of the Blacklist, why can't you just look the other way on something, Jonathan?
Yeah, how I actually thought it was going to turn around was Hudson was going to put this in Jonathan's mind. Then Jonathan was going to sort of get a little information from Ressler, but then decide to tell him what was going on. And obviously they know that they're being investigated and looked into. They already know everything. However, I kind of thought that Jonathan was going to be like, I'd like to find a way to pay you back instead of, oh, I'm at the 2 months, here's my chip. I'm going to give this to you. That'd be like, you know what? I've actually found another way that I feel like I can pay you back for saving my life. Now maybe I can save your job and I can get information from Hudson and I'll give it to you. That's sort of where I thought it was going.
I like that a lot.
Then that way we get like the task force even sort of more motivated because they'll be having information so they can kind of be one step ahead, where Hudson will be like, foiled again, like every week.
Man, why couldn't you just accept that idea? That's so much better than what we got. I did not really like what we got all that much, to be honest. It feels a little bit too predictable, a little bit straight down the middle. We've been seeing this guy for so long. Of course, he's going to be the guy who comes in and causes some problems because of Hudson. The other thing I'm on my head is like, Hudson in this meeting is just like, oh, Liz Keene was his lover. And I'm just sitting here being like, Hudson, how do you know all this? Like, what, are you like online reading like Keenler fan fiction or something? Like, why are you all of a sudden, you go from like the photo with DEMBE and Reddington to like going in here and like putting out all this information? And I'm sure he's done his research. I'm sure he's been as prepared as possible. I also wonder if there are certain things he's just embellishing to sort of get Jonathan on the line and confirming some of his suspicions.
Yeah, but he doesn't need Ressler to confirm it then. If Hudson has the information which confirm this, then just share it with Jonathan. You don't need Jonathan to go and confirm it with Ressler. Like, he could have confirmed it himself. It felt like a really weird fishing expedition that already had like a smallmouth bass on the end of the line for no reason.
I also just got to say here, clearly, Hudson, you did not watch our previous videos because you failed to take, the valuable advice that was handed to you here, which was just go and talk to the press, you imbecile. Don't sit around and be like, I need to collect more information. Look at me. But rather, go tell somebody, because in this world, Reddington finds a way to just get away with everything, shut everything down, kind of suppress things. He's already managed to wipe his existence off the face of the earth with the task force, with that whole Wu Jing storyline. It is like, the only thing you can do is get the toothpaste so far out of the tube that you can't even find a way to get the toothpaste even close to the tube anymore.
Yeah, that was the move. And I'm really surprised that wasn't the move, that he didn't do that after Dwarf fumbled the ball and was basically like, I'm not able to do this anymore, and just danced his way out. Why Hudson then didn't just step up and be like, hello, everybody. I'm taking over. Let's have a show and tell me and tell you everything. Like, where was that?
Okay, here's the harsh reality now, Hudson, because you failed to listen. You're doing a bad job. You might be able to shut down the task force. I'm not going to put that past you. However, you will lose in the end. Look at me. Look at my eyes. These are eyes that are telling you, you will lose. You are not going to get anything you want. You are going to end your career in sadness and shame. And this is what you've done to yourself. So congratulations, you suck.
Okay, let's talk about Cooper and Charlene not being at Agnes's ballet recital was really weird. Like, we had this whole story with Reddington and him possibly dying. He doesn't know what's out there. Could be anything, but he's going to make it to that recital. And I was like, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. He absolutely would. But neither one of her guardians are there. None of them. Like, if you're going to have Charlene back for an episode, this was the episode. One of the guardians needed to be there at the recital, taking a video. It didn't need to be Reddington, because like, Cooper didn't know Reddington was going to be there. And Cooper was like, well, I had to work. Okay, cool. Then where is Charlene? Where is anybody? Like, what? She's there by herself?
Yeah, I have a major beef with Charlene at this point. It's like, Cooper, I will at least buy your excuse. Like, I understand that you're a very busy man with a very important job, and this is a matter of life and death for some people. I get that. I understand that. But Charlene, we ain't hear an excuse from you. We don't know what you were doing. Why were you not there? And Reddington, it's no surprise that he's there. I mean, I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat here, though. I had this on for a good portion of the later part of this episode. I think Reddington knew he wasn't going to eat it. Like, we didn't see it, but this is somebody who always thinks really far ahead. I kind of feel like in my gut, he did something in advance to make sure that the odds of him surviving were maybe not 100%, but maybe like 99.9%, so that he knew he would get out of there, and he knew he would get to Agnes, because it's also like, I'm sorry to put this imagery out there into the world here for a second, but I'm also pretty sure that Reddington wouldn't want a situation where, he is still very much susceptible to just dying at any given second, and then he just like croaks in the middle of Agnes's ballet. Like, I don't think he wants to like traumatize her like that.
I agree, and I'd like to believe that, but I'm going to take the tinfoil hat off, because I think it was exactly what he said. I think he knew that there were risks that could happen to him. I think he tried to mitigate whatever he could to not touch anybody else, stay to himself, and, not hurt anyone else. But I think he's been taking a lot of these risks with his life this season, and I mean, all the time anyways. Is the criminal, right? Like, he's always taking risks. Yes, I understand what Cooper is saying, that this is a much bigger risk, because you don't know what you're looking at as far as like, what is going to kill me? I don't know. It could be anything, right? Like, I think one guy died in this from human touch. Like, it was very odd, right?
Yeah.
So anything could kill him. I think he's just exactly what he's saying, living his life to his fullest, taking in the experiences that he can, because he's planning something more, and not necessarily that he's going to die, but that he is going to be going off and doing something else. I think, living a regular life or something that's just somewhere that he can disappear, like, and feel not so like, worldwide, everybody's looking for me. Almost like, this is a weird comparison because it's not criminal, but like PewDiePie. Anyone who follows him knows that when he was living in the UK, everybody and their mother were like, oh my God, it's you. And he couldn't go anywhere without somebody stopping him. And then he moved to Japan, and he just did a video on YouTube where he was like, the number one thing I love living about in Japan, nobody knows who I am. It's fantastic. I can go anywhere and do anything that I want. And I feel like Reddington is looking for that life as well. And that might mean a life without Agnes.
So you're saying that we need to move to Japan in order to stop the hordes of people who are asking for our autographs everywhere we go?
Oh, yeah. All our fans are at our door. No, come on.
No, but the thing here is with Reddington and his state is that, regardless of if this is a tinfoil situation or not, I think that he's clearly in a state of mind now that's different than he was in the earlier seasons of the show. And, I've kind of gone back and forth on this whole, does he think he's dying? Is he still sick? Like, all of this sort of stuff. I was really all in on that early on this season, but he's not really showing any physical signs of being sick anymore. So it doesn't really feel like it's that.
No, it feels to me like he spent that first 8 seasons preparing everything. Every T is crossed, every I is dotted, every single thing that could possibly go wrong. He had an answer for it. He had a maneuver for it. And Liz died anyways. And it feels like ever since that happened that he's just like, you can prepare as much as you want for anything. It doesn't matter. Like, there's always going to be a little bit of chaos out there that is completely out of my control. So why am I doing any of this anyways? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. That's why I took off my tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
I just think that he was like, if it's going to happen to me, it's going to happen to me. Whether, I die in this room with these people or I die on my way to see Agnes.
I think he's in a spot now where I think he doesn't want to die, but I think he accentuated it well. I think he's prepared to die. I think if he goes at any moment now, he is going to be okay with it because I think he feels like his legacy is largely secure. I mean, especially at this point, he's given away a good chunk of his money. He's torn down a lot of his empire. He's getting to spend time with Agnes, doing all this stuff at the ballet, which is a really nice sort of throwback to the very first season of this show. He's getting to do a lot of these little things that he wants, but I think the thing is we can never we always have to keep our eye on the ball with Reddington because there is always still a larger plan, a larger end game. And I think he's clearly still building towards something, and he's just not telling anybody what that is. I think if he just wanted to retire, he could easily just come out and be like, I'm retiring, I'm having a party at this time, make sure Brimley brings the llama. It's like, he could easily do that, but he's not doing that. So I think there's another secret that's going to drop at some point, but probably not until the end, because clearly they're just wanting to drag this out as long as possible.
All right, we're 17 minutes in. We haven't actually really talked about the story of the week yet. Listen, it started out where I was kind of like, this could be really good. It sort of felt like, The Glass Onion or some sort of, Agatha Christie murder mystery, whodunit, and people keep dropping dead and everybody's in a room. I was just like, ooh, this could be really good, except that the players in it besides Reddington were not charismatic and not compelling to me. I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. I think because I think the real problem was just the development of pretty much the entire group that were guest stars in this episode. This may also just come down to personal preference a little bit, is that there was a lot of crime family stuff in here, and it's just this is just not my cup of tea. It's just
it's not my cup of tea at all.
I'm not really into this sort of entertainment. Maybe if I was, I would find some of it a little bit more interesting. But you mentioned Glass Onion, so let's just throw something akin to that out there. If this had been just groups of various people that were all together, let's just say it's for a conference, let's just say it's on a meeting about a business, but something where they have all a common reason to be there together, but they still have, factions that are feuding with each other or something like that. You could still have had this sort of Romeo and Juliet-esque twist sort of near the end of it, but you could have had a much better foundation at the start. So you could have had fun little riffs between, Reddington and some other oddball characters. So it's that's what we really like about this show, right? It's watching Reddington deal with a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, and I think they could have done that with this group of people if the writing was sort of there to pull personalities out of them. And I know that it's tough because you have a larger group of people in a very small amount of time. So you really can only show so much before people are starting to die off. But just the same, you could have done enough of, making this person a little more of an oddball, this person a little more of whatever, to bring it out of them so that there was more sort of balls being lobbed back and forth and more interesting conversations. And it could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot more.
I'm going to give a little bit of a golf clap here, though, to the unsung hero of this episode, and that is, do I call you my man now? Okay, I'm just going to do it. My man, Herbie, in this episode. First of all, there was a line that Herbie gave about how he might just go from heat stroke at any given point. Poor Alex Brightman, for one. you've got a beard in this role, so you've already got like, the beard situation going on, so you're probably pretty warm for that. Then they're like, oh, by the way, you're just gonna be in a hazmat suit for the majority of this episode, just like wander. He must have been just sweating like nobody's business.
It's also really interesting. I don't know why this is happening this season, but everything that Herbie says, the whole task force looks at him like lobsters are crawling out of his ears.
Yeah.
You're in a book club?
Of course he's in a book club.
Yeah, but why is that weird?
Yeah.
You like Dune? Millions of people like Dune. I mean, this isn't weird or odd. Him liking foosball, him enjoying books. I mean, it's woo, how kooky.
What's actually so funny and weird about all this is that we have a lot of kind of like this, whether it's a tech or forensic expert, this sort of archetype on TV. Herbie actually does kind of feel like a real person to me more than a lot of those other people do. It's like he's clearly good at his job, but he also still, he looks kind of like a normal person. I can kind of sort of gleam off him. Okay, you would be into this, that, or the other thing. But yeah, they treat him like he is the weirdest person who has ever been alive.
I couldn't believe their faces when he was like, yeah, I'm in a book club. And they were all like, huh? Book club? It's like he just said that he was like, I don't know, free diving from a plane without a parachute every Saturday.
That would be much more surprising to me. But
yeah,
no.
then I'd be like, what?
Yeah. Also, I know you're technically new at this, Herbie, but you got to work on sort of not your bedside manner, but maybe just your manner in general. When he was just walking around in this place, he did not give any single person in there any shred of comfort as to what he was doing at all.
No, especially that poor waitress who was just like, am I going to die?
And he was just like, well, I'm not going to hurt you. It's like, great, Herbie. Good job at your job. Herbie's probably the most surprising new addition. Like, I'm enjoying him way more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I just wish I could say the same thing about this episode. They had a lot of promise. I think we're obviously set up now for some really good stuff. It's just, we're so close, guys. We're so close. Like, watch the finale be great and it blows our minds, but then we're sitting here being like, why couldn't you have stretched that out for like 5 or 6 episodes? That's
the thing is, it's like we only have like a few episodes left and it's been so many episodes since Wu Jing died that just haven't moved the main story anywhere unless they have like this one episode that shows us how this is all connected. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm here taking an L on that. I'm happy to take an L, but like, where has the buildup been? Like, this can't be the last few episodes. We're going to have more episodes like this that aren't getting us anywhere.
If they are. Honk, honk.
No. It's not gonna...
we don't need any more clown noses.
No, it's not going to happen. They're not going to put us in the clown car and drive us around.
Please, Blacklist.
I don't believe it.
Okay, all right. Well, we will move forward with hope and optimism. Hopefully good things will happen. But like Jess said earlier, we are going to have a live on Patreon after the series finale, 45 minutes or an hour after it's over, after we've recorded our video for you guys here. Yeah,
we will have that video here for you first, and then we will have our live over on our Patreon.
So thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our patrons for your support, and we will see you here next time.